I'm Evelyn Monroe, the black sheep in a family where worth is measured in degrees, status, and blind obedience, where love is conditional and independence is seen as rebellion. I chose a different path. I paid the price. That evening, I pulled up to my childhood home. The Mercedes SUV was polished to a mirror shine. The lawn, pristine. The white fence, freshly painted. My family doesn't tolerate mess, especially not human ones, especially not a daughter who dared to think different. I hovered my hand over the doorbell. Before I could press it, the door swung open. "You're late," my mother snapped. It was 6:57. In this house, early was on time, and on time was disrespectful. Inside, the living room was lit with soft, yellow light, but it couldn't warm the chill in the air. My father stood near the fireplace, posture perfect like always. Amelia, my oldest sister, the ever-perfect attorney, sat with her briefcase at her feet. Ethan, the golden boy in Medi. School, still had his stethoscope on like a badge. Rachel, the baby, fresh off her MBA, looked at me like I didn't belong. There was one empty chair directly across from them, like a defendant facing a jury. "Sit down, Evelyn," my father said. I did, heart pounding. "What's going on? Why so formal?" Amelia opened her briefcase, pulled out papers. "We've discussed this thoroughly. This is in everyone's best interest." I skimmed the top page. A few phrases leapt out like slaps. Termination of legal relationship, waiving inheritance, severing all contact. "You're disowning me." Rachel shrugged. "You embarrassed the family. Everyone says so." My father stepped forward, ice in his voice. "You no longer align with the Monroe vision." I wanted to scream, but all I could do was laugh. "I'm your daughter. How is this not personal?" My mother was calm, almost proud. "We gave you the best education, the best connections, and you chose to waste it, gluing paper in a dingy workshop." They never cared. Not really. I wasn't Evelyn the artist, the builder. I was Evelyn the problem. I placed the papers on the table and whispered, "Where do I sign?" My mother blinked. "You don't want to reconsider?" "No." Amelia pointed to the bottom. I signed. My hand didn't shake. 10 minutes later, I walked out of my childhood home for the last time. At my car, my phone buzzed. A notification from my business account. New order confirmed. Revenue this month, $8312. I smiled, not because of the money, but because it proved what I already knew. I never needed them to succeed. 2 months later. My friend Tessa nearly spilled her coffee when I told her. "You what?" "Signed it. Quick. Took 10 minutes. They're your family, Evelyn. You didn't even argue?" "I cried enough already," I said, brushing sawdust from my apron. "Now I make space for freedom, not rage." Then, Liam, my partner, marketing wizard, and the best hype man ever, burst through the door holding his laptop like it was the Holy Grail. "Evelyn, you have to see this." Style and Home magazine. Cover story. "The artist redefining sustainable. Décor. Evelyn Monroe." I froze. There I was. Hair in a messy bun, glue on my hands, fierce eyes, standing beside a chandelier made from recycled bottles and brass. "It's real," I whispered. "Not just real, it's viral," Liam grinned. "Website crashed. Forbes wants an interview. And guess who just messaged? MoMA. Formal invitation for fall exhibit consideration. Art from the wreckage." I laughed, a real one this time. Then my phone buzzed again. "Rachel, I saw the article. What's going on? Call me." "Amelia, we need to talk. There may be legal consequences." I didn't respond. They'd tossed me out like garbage. Now I was a headline. They didn't want me. They wanted the spotlight. 3 days later, a handwritten letter arrived. From my father. Evelyn, I read the article. I saw what you've built. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised. I want to talk, not to blame, just to talk about the future, about family. I used to dream of a letter like that, just not after being erased from the family registry. Then another email arrived, Crescent Living, one of the biggest home decor chains on the East Coast. $750,000 order for the reclaimed Radiance collection. I closed the laptop and stood. It was time to face them again. Family dinner, round 2. The message came Thursday. Family dinner, Sunday, 6 p.m., everyone present. Not an invite, a command. I arrived 10 minutes early. My mother opened the door. Evelyn, you're here. You said 6. I'm on time. The living room was exactly the same, only now I wasn't. My father sat at the head. Amelia had another folder. Rachel and Ethan avoided eye contact. Sit, my father said. So, what's tonight's agenda? My mother smiled stiffly. You're still sharp. I'm still the person you legally disowned, I said, folding my arms. Amelia opened the folder. We want to collaborate. You'd be named creative director to help Monroe Motors rebrand for the electric transition. And the profit, share? 20% equity, she said. I laughed. I used to hold 25%, but you made me sign it away. They were silent. You didn't understand me then, I said, standing. And you don't get to use me now. My mother reached for my hand. We made a mistake. Can't you give us one chance? It's not that I can't forgive, I said, stepping back. I just don't forget. I'm not the girl who begged for your approval. I'm the woman you now need. Amelia tried again. At least think about it. I will, but if I return, it's on my terms. No orders, no control. I walked out again. This time, to Katy Perry's Rise playing on the radio. And yeah, damn right I smiled. 3 weeks later, I placed the portfolio on the glass table at Riverton Plaza's executive boardroom. They filed in, tension in their shoulders, regret in their eyes, but mostly need. Let's begin, I said. Not please, not if you'll let me. I had become the storm they never saw coming, and they had no choice but to weather it. Evelyn Monroe, From Rejection to Renewal. A legacy rebuilt, a family redefined. Evelyn Monroe once stood outside the door of her childhood home, disowned and discarded. Labeled a disappointment for choosing. Passion over prestige, she was told she didn't belong. But from the ashes of that rejection, she built something far greater than anyone expected. Today, Phoenix Electric is a leading name in sustainable luxury vehicles, a company born not from profit, but from purpose. Evelyn, once mocked for gluing scraps in a workshop, now stands as the CEO of a thriving brand where innovation meets artistry. And yet, her proudest creation may not be a car, a design, or a best-selling product, but a space called Ember House. Once an old parts warehouse for Monroe Motors, Ember House now stands as a community arts center with branches in Denver, Seattle, and Austin. Every month, hundreds of children come through its doors to learn how to transform broken glass, rusted wire, and discarded wood into something extraordinary. For them, every creation is more than art, it's healing. A declaration that destruction is not the end, but the beginning of something new, and Evelyn's family, once divided by pride and tradition, is now part of this new chapter. Not as titles or roles, but as people learning to show up with humility, honesty, and open hands. Amelia, once the executor of Evelyn's disownment, now leads Phoenix's legal division and helped launch a program for youth artists in underprivileged communities. Rachel, once resentful, now uses her talent for photography to capture every stage of the creative process and show the world how beauty can be born from brokenness. Ethan, once judgmental, now spends weekends teaching woodworking to patients. coping with trauma. And Evelyn's parents, once distant and controlling, now stand quietly beside her, not with grand speeches, but with presence and participation. They have learned that family isn't a title by birth, but a bond earned by love, effort, and accountability. At a recent press event, a reporter asked Evelyn, "What's the most important thing your family learned from everything you went through?" Her answer was simple. "That blood alone doesn't make a family. It's who chooses to stand beside you when everything falls apart, and stays." The truth echoed not in applause, but in silence, the kind that holds understanding. Months later, Evelyn's most personal sculpture, Family, created from the ashes of her disownment letter and fragments from the old factory, was placed in the Brooklyn Museum's Reclamation exhibit. Not as a symbol of revenge, but of restoration. One quiet evening, a 10-year-old boy tugged on his mother's sleeve while staring at the piece. "Mom, is that statue really made from ashes?" She whispered something Evelyn couldn't hear. But it didn't matter, because in that moment, Evelyn understood. Family was no longer just hers. It had become a whisper of hope for every person who had ever felt cast aside. That same night, Ember House received an anonymous $100,000 donation. Attached was a simple note: "For the children who were cast aside, so they know they are not invisible." Evelyn sat in her workshop, the warm light of the kiln glowing softly behind her. No applause, no headlines, just quiet gratitude. She had once been pushed out of a circle she thought she needed to survive. But she didn't just survive. She redrew the circle, wider, stronger, warmer, for herself, for others, for anyone who's ever been told they weren't enough. Evelyn Monroe's story isn't just one of success. It's a reminder that being different is not a failure. It's power waiting to be recognized. True family is made of those who choose growth, not control. From what breaks us, we can build something breathtaking.